As American as apple pie, baseball is a celebrated pastime. Whether you grew up playing the game, cheered on as a fan, or simply enjoy a good baseball movie or two, it's still probably part of your DNA. Summer's almost over, but the baseball season is just beginning, and we've got plenty of nostalgia to keep us going no matter how long the season lasts. Root, root, root for the home team. This is Way Back Attack.
Welcome to Way Back Attack. My name is Brian Grantham, and sitting across from me in cyberspace, as always, is Preston Burt. Preston, are you ready to take me out to the ball game?
I'm ready, man. Yeah, as ready as I can ever be. It's not a typical baseball season, but here we are. And I thought, even though people don't really associate geekdom or whatever with sports and baseball, hey, you can't deny that it's part of our pastime. And I figured we all have some memories to share to talk about it.
Yeah, I think baseball is the most boring thing on earth to watch, especially on TV, but it still holds a special place in my heart just because, like, the whole apple pie and baseball whole thing. I don't know. It's so strange how something that you really don't have a lot of ties to still can form a lot of nostalgic memories with things related to it.
True. Yeah. I know probably not everyone here listening to the show is a sports fan, and like I said, I wouldn't be surprised people look at this and go, they're talking about baseball. Jeez. Don't know what that's about, but whether or not you watched it on TV or you played the game yourself as a kid, it's pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
There's people could be a huge fan of, let's say, the movie Major League or Bull
Right.
Durham or whatever, and not be a huge baseball fan per se. It spans the spectrum. So yeah.
Before we get a bunch of sorry, while you were talking, my leg cramped up really bad, and so if I'm sitting weird, that's why. Before we get any emails about how great baseball is and how bad I am for not liking it, I will say I love baseball movies, and I understand the complexity of the game between the pitcher and the batter, and like how all that works and stuff like that. And I think that part's really interesting. I think it's just the watching part is really boring.
Oh yeah, it's kind of, to me watching it. It's kind of like golf.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so slow paced. It does not keep my attention. It's a much better in person sport.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna talk baseball almost the whole episode, but it's been a month since we've recorded anything, and I just wanted to say I'm glad to be back from our vacation. I had a good time away. Did you?
I did. It was eventful, I would say.
It was eventful or was not eventful?
It was eventful.
Oh, good.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
What's something fun that you did while you were away that you can share?
I took a week off from work and had a bunch of plans and wound up not really doing anything. But I did start a new diet recently, and so that's exciting because it let me take just like bags and bags and bags of junk food over to my ex-wife's house, which she wound up giving most of it away to the neighbors. So I created Halloween for everybody. It was great.
That's great. That may be the closest thing we get to Halloween this year. So hey, take what you can get.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So I got to, of course, have some time off from work, and I even went on a vacation. I know people were worried to hear me say that I was going on a beach vacation, but we played it very, very safe. We were really just out on the beach, away from people, in our condo, and other than going out to pick up takeaway food twice, we made all of our meals at home. We stayed in and watched movies, played games, read. It was so great. It was one of the first times I can think of where I had like a full 7-day stretch of doing nothing. And because of the pandemic, like, I didn't even feel pressure to like go out and see everything because even if I wanted to, most of the stuff was closed, and then safety prevails, so I wouldn't have anyway. So it was really freeing to just like absolutely veg and do nothing and just sit on the beach and read, and it was very freeing. So I hope everybody listening can enjoy that at some point in time in the future if they haven't already this summer season. But yeah, it was very good.
But Preston, it's not a trip to Panama City Beach if you don't go to Club La Vila. Come on, you didn't hit up the biggest nightclub in the Southeast.
I did not go to Panama City Beach, and the nightclub scene is not my scene. I'll tell you that for sure, especially now. Yikes. So one thing also we have been doing while we were quote on vacation. So if our listeners haven't seen us on social media promoting it, we were testing out the Twitch waters in a different format than usual. If you're just listening to this, then you may not know that we actually live stream our recording of the podcast on Twitch on Tuesday nights at 10 Eastern, and then we release the podcast on YouTube the following day and on your podcast streaming apps the following day. But we actually played a few games of pinball over the course of a couple days, testing the pinball streaming app. And got to play Ghostbusters and got to play Deadpool in my basement with masks on, but that was fun. So who knows what we'll do in the future?
I think one day I will get my Ninja Turtles pinball machine, and then we'll have a great time streaming a lot for that game. But I think right now, like the kind of setup I have requires a lot of movement of big things. And so maybe in the future I can get some smaller pieces that allow us to make all that kind of stuff easier, because I currently only have 2 pinball machines. And then when I get Turtles, I'll have 3. So because it's nice to have like some variety and spice things up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got 4, which just sounds like a lot, but when you're talking about streaming pinball and variety, it's not that much. So I'm glad we were able to play what we did, and I think right now you can still watch them for the next few days on Twitch to kind of just see what they're like. They're not our best quality stuff, but it give you a little taste.
Right.
So entertainment wise, you've been checking out anything cool?
I was trying to think. I know that I can't think of anything specifically. Like, there's things I'm excited about. I'm super excited for Bill and Ted 3, and so I was trying to think if I should watch 1 and 2 with my kids, because I showed them the trailer for 3 and they seemed pretty excited for that. Right now we are currently working our way through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and tomorrow we are going to watch Thor 2, which I'm dreading because I've never seen it, but I know it's supposedly the worst Marvel movie. And so, but we have to get past that point so we can start watching some other things. And
I think that may be the only Marvel movie I have not seen.
Really? Yeah, I think it's the same thing for me. Beforehand, I had not also seen Iron Man 3, but now I've seen it. I figured after we get done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what are we going to do? And so I was thinking maybe we could watch Gremlins 1 and 2, because I bought those movies forever ago to watch with the girls. And then I was like, let me just see how bad it is, if I remember how if it's too scary for them, and it was. But I think now they're at the point, like my oldest daughter really, really wants to watch Annabelle. And I'm like, I just don't know. I think it's going to be too scary for you. But I'm like, maybe we'll watch The Gate, because I know, like when I think about her age, right? When I was that age, I had watched like The Gate and Nightmare on Elm Street and Jaws and stuff like that. And so I don't want to be like too protective. And so I'm like, we'll watch The Gate, because I own The Gate. And have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I've got that on Blu-ray.
I love that movie. And so I was like, that's a good kids movie, I think, because like kids are the main protagonist and it's not too scary, but there is some really messed up stuff in that movie. And so maybe we'll start with that just to see if she has any nightmares or anything. But Gremlins for sure after this, probably, I think. Yeah. Sorry
to break the fourth wall for listeners here, but Brian, could you throw up our logo in the top left corner? There we go.
Boom.
Awesome. And hopefully this isn't stuttering too much on Twitch. That's the problem with live streaming, but I think it might be. So hopefully this will be a good recording for you guys. But if not, hey, you get to hear some of this magic behind the scenes stuff. We're trying our best. It's not like riding a bike, surprisingly, getting back in the podcasting saddle.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, in order to stream, I had to take apart certain parts of my studio and put them back together. And when I was doing that, I think I know what happened, and I didn't notice it until we started recording. But the software that I use has a small little thing in the bottom left-hand corner that says "Update available," and I bet you 100% that's the cause for all the problems I've been having. And
way to go!
Yep. You think like when you would launch it, it would be like, hey, there's an update, but nope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so crazy. So I've been watching Umbrella Academy. I just started that one back again. Did you see the first season?
I know what it is, but I've never really watched it.
Okay, well, it's based off a comic book series written by the guy who was the front man for My Chemical Romance. So that alone deserves just a cursory watch, just to check it out.
Wow.
It's good. It's a good series. And then, sports related. Since this episode's about baseball, I finally got on the bandwagon because my family and I were watching The Last Dance on Netflix. It was just on ESPN, but the Michael Jordan championship Bulls documentary, fantastic. We've watched all of the episodes except the last one. And we kind of waiting for a long period of time to set aside so we can devote our time just to that. So hopefully we'll be able to check that out soon. And then other than that, man, we're just cruising along, doing the same old thing, waiting for school to go or not. Who knows?
Yeah, I think, man, that's the craziest thing. Like, we're having to change a lot of stuff around because it's too unsafe. But hey, let's open up schools and get everybody back in there. Teachers will be fine.
Yep. Well, talking about being safe, hopefully if you're watching or listening to this episode, you're thinking about making it to base safely, because this episode's all about baseball. And, we mentioned a little bit about our thoughts on baseball when we started the show, but you just teased me. Give me a little bit more about your baseball history.
All right.
What's your experience with baseball?
Okay, so when I was a kid, I played a lot of sports, like with like the YMCA and stuff. I did t-ball, coach pitch, but that was as far as my professional career went. I never went past coach pitch. But as far as like my esports career,
oh my gosh,
I have played a lot of baseball arcade games. I don't play very many sports games now, but on the PlayStation, MLB The Show, they actually, when I was talking earlier about like the battle between pitcher and batter and like, the whole mind game thing, that game actually does a really good job of like capturing that part of baseball. So if anyone wants to feel that and not be able to go out right now, check that game out. But when I was a kid, we would go to, when I was living in Alabama, we would come to Atlanta to see Braves games sometimes because at the time they were America's team. But really that's about it. I've never really traveled to see a baseball game other than to go see the Braves. And, I think that the thing with baseball that's different from like all other sports is how lackadaisical it is. like everybody, like you just kind of go to a baseball game just to chill out and just have fun chatting with your friends and that kind of thing, and then like be like, oh yeah, look, there's people doing stuff down there, like it's not like an intense thing like most other sports are. So but that's about all my experience with baseball.
Yeah, I echo your sentiments about watching baseball. For me, watching baseball on TV is really, 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 really boring unless it's the World Series and it's your team in the World Series that you're rooting for.
Yeah.
But in person, I really enjoy it because of how, quote, to use your term, lackadaisical it is. It's slow paced. And so when I go to see a baseball game in person, it's not necessarily about the game. It's about the experience. It's about, getting some hot dogs and peanuts with the family. It's talking to my friends or my family in the stands between innings. It's doing the wave and watching the silly stuff that they do in the crowd. And it's very little of it is actually, the sport itself. So, yeah, this is one, even if you didn't, grow up playing it or like watching on TV, I would venture you would probably still have an okay time in person at a major sporting event.
Yeah, and that goes across the board for any sporting event, because I'm really not into sports, just like period. But like I've seen like the Celtics play somebody, and it was cool to be there. Like just to be a part of and feel the excitement of the people.
Yep.
I will say the cool thing about this current MLB season, I think it's Fox that's doing it. So they are pumping in crowd noise and putting out CG crowds. Have you seen this?
Yes, and I actually saw one of my friends. He's the co-host of the Arcade Repair Kits podcast. His name's Jonathan, and his wife for his birthday paid for his image to be one of the spectators behind home plate for the Rangers games.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, the audio that they're pumping in actually comes from MLB The Show, that game that I was talking about.
That's crazy.
It's so cool. I haven't seen anything, because hockey's also doing the same thing. I think all sports that are actually airing are doing the same thing right now. But like, do you know how the laugh tracks thing works? Have you ever? I learned about it from listening to a thing on NPR. But
yes, I probably heard the same show you did.
Okay, so I wonder if just so if you don't know, basically it's like a box, and if you think of like a stenographer's typewriter, I envision it looking similar to that, because I haven't seen what it looks like, but like it's kind of like an instrument, and it has different types of laughter, and you kind of like shape it to whatever is happening on screen, right? It's not just like they click a file and it goes in. There is an art form to making this happen. And man, I hope that kind of artistic endeavor happens with the sports industry, with pumping in crowd noise, because who knows how long this is going to be going on. And I think that there's a possibility that you get people that are get really good at anticipating stuff that's happening, and getting like sounds and just working it. I hope it works out the same way.
That would be cool if there was the one go-to guy that did that, or gal that did that. Yeah. So I don't know the over-under on how much longer professional sports is going to be going on, because they seem to be dropping like flies. Well, I'll give you my history real quick, but I do want, in case someone who may be doubting their episode, if they want to continue listening, we are going to be talking about movies, toys, video games, fun stuff like that. So it's not going to be just an actual sports show with sports stats and stuff. But for me personally, baseball was the one sport I actually did play. I did not play it in high school, but I played it through age 13, where I went out on top at our team won the Dizzy Dean championship. So through no help of mine, because I was horrible.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, well, I think it was because 13 was the age at which I got glasses. And prior to that, I needed glasses, but did not have glasses. So that affected my batting ability and fielding ability, I'm sure. But I was a fan. When I lived outside of Chicago, I had some friends that had passes to go to the Cubs games. So I got to go to several Cubs games in Wrigley Field in the 80s. I grew up loving Ryan Sandberg, which is why I got my Cubs shirt on right now. It actually says Sandberg on the back. I don't know if you can see. But let's see, I did that, and then I was huge into baseball cards. I think it's part of the collector mentality, and I don't think that's ever left me.
Right.
Even though my interest has shifted over time, but my first thing that I was just like, oh my gosh, got to get them, got to have them all, was baseball cards, and that was the 1987 Topps series with the wood grain. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but that kind of sustained me through Little League, and then after that, I really didn't follow, baseball that much, other than when we moved to Atlanta, I made sure to be able to go to a few Brave games here and there, and made sure to take the family to the last opening day at the old Turner Stadium, and then I got to go sit in some nice seats at the opening of their new stadium here in Atlanta. So that's kind of where I am. And other than watching the Cubs win the World Series finally in 2016, I don't really watch it on TV or anything. So that's mostly I am in the same seat as you, other than having played it as a kid. I mostly just enjoy watching movies about it and the toys and things like that. So,
I know that you don't watch a ton of anime, but one of your daughters do, and there is supposed, I don't know the name of it, so you'll have to like Google it, but I've heard that there's a really good baseball anime, and since maybe you can get her into it, and then you guys can like have like a
yeah, I'll have to check it out, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Well, we've got the background on where we stand on baseball, and I think we should go ahead and get into the topics we want to talk about today. So I think yours is first up.
Yeah. So, I talked about it a little bit before about how a lot of my baseball experience comes from playing baseball video games, and this sound effect is hopefully going to bring some memories back for some people. So the Neo Geo startup music is one of the, like, when I hear that like in an arcade or something like that, like it is like one of the best sound effects that's out there. And that sound effect would happen before playing one of my favorite baseball video games of all time. So let's show a little bit of that right now. All right, so Super Baseball. Super Baseball 2020. Now, believe it or not, this would be a great solution to the problem that baseball is having today. So, Super Baseball 2020 is essentially it is a baseball game of the future. All the humans are wearing armor and stuff like that. There are robots that are playing. You earn money while you're playing the game for doing things like getting an out or striking out, or I'm striking somebody out and that kind of thing. And you could use that money to like buy power-ups and stuff like that. So, did you play this game ever, Preston?
Dude, I've never seen this game at all.
You've never seen this game at all? Oh
no.
My gosh. If
I was playing Neo Geo, it was going to be Metal Slug or Art of Fighting, or one of those. Like, I wasn't going to be playing a sports game.
Yeah, so this game was almost like a fighting game. So I loved it on the Genesis. One of my friends, Eric, he had this game on the Genesis, and it was one of those weirdly shaped games. And because I know the NES games that were weirdly shaped were like not official. They were never
got the Tengen
approval. Yeah, and so like this always like felt the same to me because it was like Mutant League Football. I guess it was a lot of EA games were usually like had that yellow tag on the side and stuff like that. But so this game was a Neo Geo baseball game that was released for the arcade. In the US for the Genesis, EA published it and released it, and then for the Super Nintendo it was published by Trade West. And
okay.
Man, I was so good at this game. Like, I could pitch it, like, because there's parts. I'm running the attract screen in the background, but like there's parts where if you were watching it, like you like choose where the ball's gonna go, like most baseball games when you're pitching. But like I was really good at like picking a spot and then just making it curve like just too close to the person for them to hit it. And I could beat almost anybody in this game. Like, I love this game in the arcade.
That was me with RBI Baseball on the NES.
Yeah,
I loved that game.
You know what? Let's see. I also played a lot of RBI Baseball, and I was pretty good at it. I don't remember whose house I was at, but I have a specific memory, and I know where it was like a townhouse. It was when I lived in Tampa when I was like in first or second grade. But I have a specific memory of playing RBI Baseball with someone there. So, but Yeah, man, like that game. If it's fitting that it's Super Baseball 2020, right?
Right?
Half the players are robots. Like, why are we not doing this right now? It would solve like all the problems. But yeah, it followed the same basic rules as baseball. And then like I was talking about earlier, you had those upgrades and stuff. But it was, man, it made for a fast paced game, and it was great for arcades because it was similar to a fighting game, like or like think of like NBA Jam, how popular NBA Jam was. But the characters were like over the top. Like if you get struck out, they would always like break the bat over their knee and stuff like that. I just love that game. Neo Geo had a couple baseball games. There's like Baseball All Stars and stuff like that. But Super Baseball 2020 is one of my favorites. So
The newest baseball game that I got to enjoy was Super Mario All-Star Baseball, which I think was on the GameCube.
Yep.
Me and my buddy Shannon, he had that for his kids, and I think we played it more than they did. That game infuriated him because I think he's only beaten me at it one time, and we've played, I don't know, dozens of times.
They've I feel like they've done I feel like there was a Nintendo 64 Mario baseball game also. But yeah, usually the Mario ones. There's an amazing Mega Man soccer game that's also very good. But yeah, those baseball translates well when you make it arcadey and not. I just as a sim baseball game or a sim video game, I would prefer an arcadey one any day.
Yeah, there's a few actual arcade baseball games. There's like Championship Baseball. And then RBI Baseball actually was put out in arcades as a kit, but not that many. There was one that had a cool little control where you like flicked a little switch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the name of that one.
It was like a
Sega.
tight analog stick or whatever.
Well, it was World Series Baseball was the name of that one. But yeah, it translates really, really well, and I'm glad you picked that one. I'm glad I learned a little bit about Super Baseball 2020.
Well, I think that they should take my idea and do that with this year's baseball game, or with this year's baseball season. But if not, and they wind up canceling the season, I think that that will allow people to sit back and revisit this classic.
I want you to make some friends this summer.
They were 9 great kids, having one great summer. They'll become friends.
Just stand there and stick your glove out in the air. I'll take care of it.
They'll become a team.
Oh, yeah, all right.
And one of them
You're the best.
will become a legend. The Sandlot, rated PG.
All right, you knew that if we're doing an episode about baseball, we would have to talk about The Sandlot. I mean, like, it's a given. We mentioned some movies at the top of the show that are really iconic baseball movies. Bull Durham, Major League. Even if for like kids movies, I was thinking of The Rookie, which I really, really, really love. Rookie of the Year, which I really, really, really love. But I don't know if there's ever been a better baseball movie than The Sandlot. It is just so perfect for kids and for families, and it's funny and nostalgic and sentimental, and it's just great.
Mm-hmm. It is one of those movies that like when you watch it, you're like, man, this is an instant classic.
Yeah, it was, and it actually did pretty well at the box office. It was it came out in 1993. It earned $34 million at the box office on a $7 million budget. So it was profitable. It did really well. But where it really hit home and became the cult classic film that it is, or I wouldn't even say cult, it was just a classic film now, is because of home video sales. Between VHS and DVD, they've made over $75 million doing that. So like double its box office income. I saw it in the theaters. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly. Where I saw this the most was when I was a kid in school. I was in like choirs and stuff, and we'd travel to different things, and even through high school, this was the movie that got put on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody liked this movie. It had universal appeal. It was wholesome. It was fun, and it never got old. I loved it.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that it got played on the bus, because that was something also, like, Independence Day, The Sandlot, like, these are all movies that are on like every like long distance field trip where you have a TV on the bus.
Okay, so in the very long offshoot chance that you have not seen this movie, listener or viewer, brief synopsis: this kid comes to a new town. He's awkward. He's dealing with a stepfather. He's trying to make friends. He runs into a group of kids playing baseball in the sand lot, and they're down a player who moved away. He has zero skills. He plays catch with his stepdad and even gets a black eye doing that. But one player, Benny, takes him under his wing to teach him the ways, and eventually he becomes part of this crew, this motley crew of baseball players. But there is a problem that carries throughout the rest of the movie, in that someone hits a ball over the fence. He says, "Oh, I can replace the ball. My stepdad has a ball." So he goes to get it, and they hit that over the fence too, which a crazy dog retrieves.
Mm-hmm.
And that ball was signed by the Yankees World Series winners. And so they have to devise a plan to get that ball back. And it's not just that. There's also, some great stuff, just kid stuff, tree houses, love interests at the pool. There's a lot of fun stuff to carry it throughout. But man, it is a great nostalgic classic.
Did you ever know anybody that collected baseballs?
Collected baseballs?
Yeah, like signed ones.
I had a couple friends that had, maybe one or two. And I think when I visited a Cubs game, I got Joe Girardi to sign one. He's the catcher, and he eventually became a manager in the major leagues. But I wasn't like super collector guy with that.
The weirdest thing ever is, maybe it wasn't my mom's, but my mom collected. She had a baseball, like, I think it was a Mickey Mantle autograph ball. And maybe
Really?
It was my stepdad's, but in my head it was always my mom's baseball. And I thought it was, like, looking back on it, it's the weirdest thing, because I don't think she has it now. So maybe it was his baseball. But even him, like, it was such a strange thing, because like neither of them really collected anything. And so for this like Mickey Mantle ball to be like on the dresser, like,
everybody knows Mickey Mantle, and everybody knows baseball. So even if you're not a huge collector of anything else, you know that there's value to be had, monetarily or otherwise, in having that piece of history. So I get it, man. That's cool. I wonder what happened to that ball.
I don't know. I'll have to ask next time I talk to her and see if it was hers or not.
Yeah, that's cool. So, as part of our design of the show for Way Back Attack, we talk about things that are nostalgic, that are coming back into the present, So baseball generally is something that's in the present right now, because the season is underway. But also the Sandlot itself is hopefully going to be back in the limelight, because there has been rumors of the early development of a new series of the Sandlot on Disney Plus. And what's cool about this is, I know you're thinking, oh great, they're just going to make whatever. No, from what they're reading, the original kids are going to be in this movie as grown-ups in the 80s who have kids of their own who are playing ball now. So set in 1984 with original cast, and it's written by the co-writer and director Mickey David Evans of the original movie. So that looks really, 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 really promising. So I hope that works out.
Who do you think is gonna have like the flock of seagulls hair? Because if you're gonna do it in the 80s, you gotta have someone that's really out there.
Yeah, well, there was I think the tall kid was like the burnout who ended up getting lost in the 60s or something. Maybe he came back out as like a glam rocker.
Well, I just want to give everybody a quick update. I have been informed from chat that my mom still has the ball. So it was her ball. She still has the Mickey Mantle. So
Go, Mom. All right. So you got any more last comments about the Sandlot movie?
You know, it is such a classic movie, and I think it's cool that they're going to bring it back on Disney Plus. And are they doing a series or is it a movie? It's a series, right?
I think it's a series. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, the cool thing with that is it really opens the door for them to really do whatever they want, especially with a different time period. And I think it's a smart move. Because, you know, I think when the original movie came out, the time period that it was set in for like parents to feel nostalgic to see that movie. Modern kids were into it just because it was a kids movie, right? And them setting the time period now lets those kids that were younger feel the nostalgia for the original movie and for that time period. And so I think it's like an interesting thing, an interesting concept for them to do it. But yeah, I'm super excited for it, and I can't wait to. What is that sound, Preston?
Is that the sound of a game?
It sounds like it.
All right. So that means that we're playing a game I created just for you, Brian, called Sandlot or Sandler.
All right. So how does this game work?
So let's throw that graphic back up for just a minute and admire that. Look at that. Oh man, I made that. That is just killer. So you got Squints on the left, you got Adam Sandler on the right. So what that means in this game is I'm going to be giving you some movie quotes, and I want you to tell me if that movie quote is from the movie The Sandlot or if it's from any other Adam Sandler movie.
Okay.
So let me pull that back up on my drive because I forgot to pull that up. Here we go. All right.
Well, I must say I am not a huge Adam Sandler fan. So I don't know how well I'm going to do at this this game because it has been so long since I've seen the movie The Sandlot. So this will be interesting.
Well, I tried not to go too obscure, but I did want it to make it not so obvious. So, we forgot. Let's play. I gave you some sound effects for when you get things wrong. So if you get it wrong and you say Adam Sandler, but the movie is actually The Sandlot, you're going to hear this sound.
You're killing me, Smalls.
You're killing me, Smalls.
And if you say it's The Sandlot, but it's actually an Adam Sandler movie, you're going to hear this.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
So Brian's working the sound effects board on his own game, but here we go. So I'm going to tell you. All right, here is your first movie quote. Remember, you tell me Sandlot or Sandler. I take it back. You're not in trouble. You're dead where you stand.
I'm going to say Sandlot.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct.
Yes.
You got that one right. That is from Mr. Myrtle, played by James Earl Jones at the very end. And that's from The Sandlot. Okay, next movie. Or next quote. Remember, kid, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Oh, man. I thought you gave it away when you said next movie. And I was like, okay, so it's not The Sandlot, but that sounds like a quote from The Sandlot. And I can't imagine Adam Sandler saying that in anything other than like Big Daddy. And I don't think that he would. I don't think unless you're like, remember, kid, you're never gonna do it. So I'm going to go with Sandlot again.
You're correct. You're correct.
Yes.
You bring up a good point. I very strongly considered reading every single movie quote in an Adam Sandler voice. Oh.
You should do that from now on.
All right, here we go. Now that's what I call high quality H2O.
That is Sandler.
Okay. Yes, from the movie
Waterboy.
You got it. Okay, here, I'll do this one in an Adam Sandler voice. Here you go. Just to throw you off in case. Who knows? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Mommy, look at the doggy. Ooh, that's a big doggy.
I'm gonna go with Sandlot.
Ah, you got it. I was
Yes.
hoping maybe the Adam Sandler voice would throw you off. All right, you're doing good. You're 4 for 4.
Nice.
All right, here's one, short and sweet. Forever. Forever. Forever.
Forever. It's Sandlot.
Okay. I told you you'd get all of these. All right, next up. Gee, that information would have been really useful to me yesterday.
That is a Sandler film.
Do you know which film?
Because he's gonna go, oh man, it might be Happy Gilmore.
You're wrong, so I'm gonna make you play the wrong sound.
All right, so I'm playing the Sandler sound clip or the
Yes.
sound. Okay.
Yes, Sandler. Stop looking at me, Swan. You got half credit. I'll give you because I'm
looking
having
at
to make
me,
it harder for
Swan.
you since you get them all right. So you technically got it right. It is a Sandler quote, but you did not get the movie correct. It's from The Wedding Singer.
Oh, okay.
All right. Here's another one for you. Why don't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home?
That is Sandler, Happy Gilmore.
Correct. All right, we're getting down to the wire here. You're doing really, really good. Anyone who wants to be a can't hack it panty waist who wears their mama's bra, raise your hand.
That is Sandlot.
Dang! Oh, I thought I was going to get you with that one. That is said by Benny the Jet Rodriguez in Sandlot. Okay, 2 more. Here we go. I've been coming here every summer of my adult life, and every summer, there she is, oiling, lotioning, oiling, smiling. I can't take this no more.
Ooh, that's tough. I'm gonna go Sandler only because it says adult life.
You are wrong. You have to play the Sandlot sound.
Oh.
You're
I
killing me,
think you just
Smalls.
gave it to me to feel pity. But that is Squints talking about Wendy Peppercorn in the Sandlot.
But he's not an adult.
I know. That's part of the fun. That's writing, kids. That's comedy. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Here's another one for you. Last one. Of course I peed my pants. Everyone my age pees their pants. It's the coolest.
That is Sandler, and I'm gonna assume it's Billy Madison. I've never seen it.
You got it. Brian and O'Doyle rules. Good job.
Yes.
Way to go.
I
All
am
right.
very good at games.
You do such a good job of thinking up games for me. I thought I'd think up one for you. So I don't know how often we'll bring back Sandlot or Sandler. Probably never. So enjoy it while you can.
We can make it a theme with Sandler stuff. Like we could just compare everything to Adam Sandler movies.
It doesn't have the je ne sais quoi.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you making that game for me, and I'm glad that I only got one. We'll say 1.5 wrong since I got the Sandler movie wrong. So, so very good. But this going back to baseball, because I think Adam Sandler kind of throws it off a little bit. I can't believe he's never done a baseball movie. But I guess don't count him out because who knows what Netflix wants to pay him to do. So this is going to take us into our next one.
Frog baseball! Get him!
All right. So this is a classic, Preston. Why? What made you think up frog baseball?
I just like to think of variety, and I knew that frog baseball was the very, 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 very first short animation for Beavis and Butthead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, if you're watching this, you're seeing it. It's a little more rudimentary than you remember, and if you could hear the voices, it's slightly different voices than what you'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the very first animation by Mike Judge, that aired on Liquid Television. And this is before it was actually a series. This was in 1992. It's a short film. It's only a couple minutes long. And he made one other one that was like Peace, Love, and Understanding, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But this is so cool to look at. The content is awful. I mean, frog baseball, they're whacking a frog with a baseball bat, just showing what doofuses they are. And but I think we all kind of had that one kid in our neighborhood who was like a hellion. And I mean, I know I had a friend who, like, just for fun would like throw frogs from his pool, like against the wall. It was cruelty. It was horrible. I denounce it. But there's always that one kid that's just off, right?
Yeah. How many people do you think that kid has murdered today?
Probably a non-zero number. A non-zero number. But yeah, Beavis and Butthead in its entirety was such a monumental part of pop culture for our generation.
Mm-hmm.
This little thing, frog baseball, as stupid as it is, it led to 7 seasons of Beavis and Butthead from 1993 all the way to 1997. Then they had a movie in 1996, Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was even brought back, I think, in 2011 for some shorts. I don't remember. I didn't watch it. It was out of my radar. But yeah, so it's got some longevity, and it's just interesting to think that it all started from this stupid little animation about squashing a frog with a baseball bat.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead is an interesting thing too, because like modern day, like you can't really find, like they have put out some Beavis and Butthead like video stuff, but because of all the licensing deals and stuff like that that would have to go into place in order to have those music videos put back into it, like without the music videos, the animation is extremely short, because that was a good chunk of what those shows were. But man, I remember when Beavis and Butthead came out, and like I remember, well, I guess maybe not when it came out, right? Because, well, so I was in 6th grade. I remember being in 6th grade and it being like the biggest thing ever. And the big conversation was about how it was going to destroy the youth of America, right? But then I specifically remember the opposite talking point about how Looney Tunes was the exact same thing. How you have like Bugs Bunny, or I guess it technically wasn't Bugs Bunny. It was some gremlin or whatever, was like hitting like missile heads and stuff like that, and just like Elmer Fudd shooting things, and just like how really animation was no different. It was just that these guys were morons. And it's funny because the clip that you have here with the frog baseball, I cannot not hear Keanu Reeves when Butthead is talking, because it's not Butthead's right voice, and so it sounds more like Keanu Reeves to me. But yeah, that, man, it was such a huge thing. I wanted MTV so bad, and I could not. My mom was not wanting me to watch that at all.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have, but it coincided with a summer where I was stuck at my dad's house and he was off at work all the time, and so I just rotted my brain with MTV nonstop. Real World, Road Rules, Beavis and Butthead. It was awful and glorious at the same time. You were talking about them being the responsible for the downfall of America. I remember that. I remember that sentiment, but I had seen it already. You'd mentioned Looney Tunes or whatever, but I remember first it was The Simpsons, right?
Yep.
Then it was Beavis and Butthead, and then South Park came along, and oh my gosh. So it's just, there's something for every season, and Beavis and Butthead was just part of it for a while. But again, talking about a way back attack in the present, announced in July of 2020, just this past month, Beavis and Butthead are returning for 2 new seasons and spinoffs on Comedy Central. In the quote from the article, I think on Deadline, in the new incarnation, Beavis and Butthead will enter a whole new Gen Z world with meta themes that are said to be relatable to both new fans who may be and those who may be unfamiliar with the original series. And old fans. Yeah.
So I wonder, I was talking about how the music videos were a huge part of it. I wonder, like, the music videos that come out now are vastly different from the videos back then. At least, like, I mean, I'm sure that there are still like a large variety of music videos, but the main ones that I ever see are going to be pop music, right? And back then they did like a lot of metal, and they had some pop stuff in there too. Like, they had a wide variety of music videos. You know, obviously MTV had all that stuff playing all the time, and they had different genres playing. But nowadays the only ones that I ever really see are pop music. So it'll be interesting to see like how they play on that with
Yeah,
those
or even
characters.
if they even do music videos at all. I mean,
Yeah.
they may just be doing the animation part of it, which would be a little disheartening, because Beavis and Butthead is where I discovered some of this music that I'd never listened to on my own. Like, I didn't even know who Guar was until Beavis and Butthead. So I hope a new generation of people get to be introduced to some weird and random stuff through Beavis and Butthead.
That's how you became a huge Winger fan. Well, you know, Beavis and Butthead playing baseball, and not really playing by the rules or an interesting way, because their attention diverted, is nothing at all like this next baseball game. So I have here. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. So this is not my game, but this is a game made by Williams, called Slugfest, and this is it's almost like a pinball machine. It's about the same size as one. It's a little bit shorter, but it is a classic pitch and bat style game, but it was reinvented for the 90s arcade kid. And I used to own one of these. I love this game. It came out in 1991, and man, when I would go to the arcade, you know, I've said it, I wasn't a huge baseball fan, but I like baseball games, and this game I played all the time. And I know for a fact that you've played with me when I owned this game. What do you think about it, Preston?
Oh, dude, this one is a blast from my childhood. It's a blast of nostalgia. For those who may just be listening and don't know what we're talking about, it looks kind of like a pinball machine, just with not as tall of a back box, but it's something you stand up to play. And it's basically, what's cool about the Slugfest is that two people can play simultaneously. One person can control the ball being thrown, a little pinball. It's tinier than a regular pinball. And then one person bats, and they can swing, and it gives you a base hit, double, triple, or a home run based on where you hit it. There's different characters, and there's a dot matrix display. It's really, really, really cool. And, you know, I've talked about on the show before that little corner gas station that had a game room in the back where I learned to play Street Fighter 2 and where I played Mortal Kombat and all that stuff. They had a Slugfest machine at that location. So I grew up playing this. It's a great game. It's really, really fun. And what was one of the cool special features about this, Brian? Do you remember?
Yeah, so so there's a couple cool special features. This is not the one that I think you're talking about, but there was you could do a power hit, and there was a ramp that would pop up, and then you could hit the ball like up into the stands and get like if you had bases loaded, you would get like a grand slam or whatever. But the cool feature that I'm pretty sure you're talking about is that it had a baseball card dispenser on it that would dispense out cards that based on how well you did. So
yeah, you didn't see an actual physical reward for stuff in video game arcades, so it was cool to actually to win those. And I mentioned before I was a big fan of that, so yeah, that was totally cool. And what's funny is that for the longest time, that pitch and bat machine was the only exposure I had to pitch and bat machines.
Yes.
I didn't know that they were popular for a long, long time in the 50s and the 60s and even early 70s. Electromechanical machines that had actual running men unit that ran the bases and could control, swinging a bat and stuff like that. They were shaped a little differently. There were some that were this pinball shape, but they were mostly like the Midway games. They were like bigger and fatter than an arcade, but they stood up straight like that. So.
Yeah, if you ever, a popular beach destination is Myrtle Beach. Like on the boardwalk at Myrtle Beach, there are arcade arcades on the boardwalk, and they all have the classic like 60s pitch and bats, just like rows and rows of them. And so my ex-wife and I actually went on a vacation out there one time, and she was like, "This is really cool." And I was like, "Okay, well, if you want to get a pitch and bat, it's going to be the pitch and bat that I played when I was a kid." And so that was the whole reason I got a Slugfest, because I love that game. And you talked about how you could do 2 players. There was the player that was the pitcher had like, you would like cover up your hand, and there were 4 buttons, and you could do like a fastball or a curveball or knuckleball, and there's like a magnet underneath the play field, and when the ball comes out, like it would like pull the ball one way or another, and it would mess with the timing for the batter. And so it was really revolutionary in terms of like turning that classic style of a pitch and bat into something modern for kids to get excited about.
And if you're thinking about getting a game room, or if you already have one yourself, it's fun to have rows of video games and rows of pinball machines, but it's also really fun to have these very different types of games like a Slugfest to mix it up and provide some variety. And these kind of games are things that guests will gravitate towards without even realizing that they have an interest in it. It's just because it's so different and unique, and it's 2-player and it's fun. So good choice.
Yeah, it also has a single player thing too. So like if you play against the computer, it'll still do those types of pitches and stuff too. So it's fun for a single person to play. It's fun for a group of people to play. So if you got it, check it out. Let's see. All right. And finally, we're coming to our last thing there, Preston. Are you excited about it?
I'm excited about it. I just discovered it today.
I'm excited about it too, and I hope you are as well.
No baseball collection is complete without this year's hottest new player, the Sports Talk player.
He just gave me 3 sliders. I try to take 3 strong swings.
Was it Canseco?
I told myself I want to get a pitch to drive.
Don Mattingly.
Sports Talk plays 164 talking tops cards with stats and tips from all-time greats to current all-stars.
I could smell the wind and the no-hitter.
That was definitely Mike Scott.
And Oral Hershiser and Carlton Fisk. Pete Rose said, "This is great. This is the best game we ever played in."
Sports Talk, the hottest new player in baseball.
All right, so I said I just discovered it today. I should rephrase. I rediscovered this today in looking for topics to talk about and round out our list with a little bit of variety. I had not thought about this thing in 30 years. And what we're talking about, of course, is the LJN Sports Talk that came out in 1989. And it was, kind of think about it as a precursor from the same company to the Talk Boy from Home Alone 2 that would come out in a few years. It's kind of that same technology. It wouldn't record your voice, but it had that playback aspect, and was certainly tied into the hot items at the time, which were baseball cards by Topps. Do you remember this at all?
I do not remember it at all, but I love the commercial. Like the kid's like in his home, he's like, "Jose Canseco? Like, why is he in my?
Is he here right now? Is he talking to me?
He's watching me change my clothes."
Yeah. So this one, as you heard in the commercial, if you can't see it, what it is it's like it looks like a very slender version of a cassette recorder, like the rectangular thing that was flat, and instead of popping up and sliding in a cassette tape, you'd pop up in this cover and slide in a larger baseball card. So not a traditional baseball card size, but it does look just like the 1989 Topps series. You slide one of those in, close the lid, push a button, and you'd hear from 122 different players and managers, different stories, different stats, sounds from the game being called. It was actually, I don't know, maybe like a early version of podcasts almost for kids.
Yeah. Did you have one of these?
I did not have one of these. No.
Okay. You should get one.
I should, and our listeners should even get one. I looked up on eBay, and the prices for this is really affordable. I guess it wasn't a huge hot seller, because you can buy them currently $20. There's a listing for buy it now, $20 with free shipping for the system, and it comes with 4 cards in there. Now, this is where they got you. because you didn't get 122 cards right off the bat. It wasn't like an all-in-one system. No. They wanted you to collect the cards. So you would buy these little prepackaged set of 4 cards, only 4 cards in a box or in a pack to try to get to all 122. But if you want to buy those packs to expand upon your system that you get for $20, you can get, I saw someone had an auction up or buy it now for 2 packs of 4 cards, so 8 cards for $8 with free shipping.
Do you think the gum's still in those packs?
I looked and there's not any gum in those packs.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I have had some of that gum before, but that was probably even 10 years ago. And so a few years, several years ago, I got several boxes of trading cards from my childhood to relive that nostalgia. And I got the first series of Topps trading cards that were my own that I remember, which was 1987's wood grain Topps trading cards. And of course, they had the gum. You open it up, it smells just like you remember, but it does not taste like you remember because when you put that stick of gum, it just liquefies. Like it just turns into like bubblegum flavored spit. It's so gross and so nasty, but I don't remember it tasting rancid, which at least fortunately it wasn't like eating something rotten, but it just had no gum consistency whatever, and it was just really, really, really gross.
What you're supposed to do when it turns to that liquid, you're supposed to swish it around your mouth, like,
oh my god,
dude!
And then the sound effect.
It forms all into like a little wad, and then you can blow an awesome bubble.
Oh, you are so wrong for that, man. Oh, well, I thought I'd bring up something fun. You asked about the trading cards themselves. Now, the LJN Sports Talk trading cards are styled after 1989 Topps series, which I actually have a vintage pack of 1989 Topps trading cards. This is, you hear it? It doesn't sound like a regular pack because this is one of what they call a rack pack. It's 3 little packs in one that you'd hang from a peg at a store. And I thought I'd open up some and see if we recognize any of these baseball players. But right off the bat, there's a good story about one of the guys that you can see. So these packs were fun because you could actually see 6 of the cards. You kind of knew if you were getting a good one. You could kind of thumb through the racks packs on the at the store. And the one good guy I recognize right off the bat is 1988 All-Star Bobby Bonilla.
Oh my goodness, that's so crazy. That name has come up in my life for like 3 times over the past week. That is so wild.
So, Brian, would you like to tell anybody why Bobby Bonilla is still coming up in your timeline?
Well, my whole thing was that somebody wrote a podcast and their name was Bobby B, and so they just kept it was 2 different podcasts, and on both those podcasts they said, "Oh yeah, Bobby Bonilla," and I was like, "Who is that person?"
Oh, so you don't know Bobby Bonilla?
I don't.
Okay, well,
he's a good baseball player.
He is a good baseball player. He's obviously good enough to be a 1988 All-Star. But while I'm opening this pack up, let me tell you about Bobby Bonilla and why he is always in the news. It's because every year on July 1st, there has been Bobby Bonilla Day, where Bobby Bonilla, even though he's been retired for a long, long time, he, let's see, since 2000,
okay,
Bobby Bonilla has earned over $1 million, 1.19 million from the New York Mets every year, because the owner of the Mets back then, they were dealing with a salary cap. I don't remember, but the guy was also embroiled with the Bernie Madoff pyramid scheme. And so he thought he was in for this humongous payday. So he thought it was in his best interest to offer Bobby Bonilla a delayed payment structure. So even though he got cut in 2000 or after the 2000 season, starting in 2011, he would receive $1.19 million every year until, wait for this, 2035.
But he was
So
getting paid while he played, right?
he got paid while he was played, but he didn't get to continue his $6 million contract or something like that.
Oh.
So instead of that $6 million contract, they're like, okay, we won't pay you that this year. You're getting cut. But in 2011, we'll pay you $1.1 million every year until 2035.
Boy, that's
So
crazy.
Dude hasn't played baseball in 20 years and is still earning $1 million every year.
That's wild. I couldn't imagine that. Like, you know, because like, so if someone did that to me, I would immediately go, oh, they think I'm going to die. Like that has to be the first thing. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me before this contract starts. And that's what the thing is. I wonder if he went in hiding.
No, he's celebrating. He's out and about. All right. So let's see if I've got any good baseball cards. Right off the bat, I do not recognize Atlee Hammaker. Don't know him.
Hamburger.
Jose Cesena. I don't know him. Mike Moore from the Mariners. Don't know him. But I do recognize Keith Hernandez of the Mets. He's a good player. Let's see. Dude, yeah, those are all just like bench warmers. I don't know any of those guys.
I hope you have a Jose Canseco rookie card.
It is his rookie season, so let's see if we get him. No, he was 87. Never mind. 89 was King Griffey Jr. Let's see if we get him.
I'm King Griffey Jr.
Oh my gosh. Look at this guy. I don't know him, but he was the manager for the Royals. He
Hold on,
really,
let me go to you. I don't think managers are ever happy, are they? Watman.
No. He's playing the part really well. My gosh. These guys all suck. Look, Les Lancaster, Rick Cerrone, John Farrell, Dale Svevum, Larry Owen, and Joe Price. I don't know who any of those dudes are. All right. In the rack pack, you get 3 little packs. I'm holding out that that Bobby Bonilla is the winner. And his pack will have somebody cool.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, why is that not really the thing? You know what they should have done is they should have put fake cards on the front of it so that you don't know who it is. Like you think, oh yeah, I got a Bobby Bonilla, but then really it's like Pete McPistol Whip guy.
Okay, I got one. Oh, I got 2. Now, if you were collecting cards at the time, this card would have been pretty interesting because this was a draft pick card, so it was like a rookie card for this guy. This guy, Andy Benes, he really didn't do much, so that's no good. But this is my boy, All-Star Kirk Gibson, which is a perfect way to end this episode for me and my topics that I picked out, because Kirk Gibson was one of my favorite players of all time, and I actually had his mitt when you had not his personal mitt, but you know, just like today you get famous
Jordans.
People so I had the Kirk Gibson branded baseball mitt that I played with for a long time. So thanks for helping me relive some nostalgia and open some baseball cards and get to talk all about Bobby Bonilla. And yeah, man, this has been a good episode.
Yeah, I collected baseball cards too, but I did it in a different way. There were packs that I opened and stuff like that, but usually I'm trying to think where we got them from, but I think it was like Sam's or something. But you could just buy like the whole like long thing that had every card from that thing in it. And I would just buy those. I would put them in my closet, and I was like, one day these are going to be worth millions. And I'm sure they wound up in the trash someplace. So
yeah, those cards are not worth anything, man. But those are fun. Yeah, the thrill of the hunt and finding the cards that you need in the packs that you purchased. That was the fun stuff. And then taking these guys like Wally Bachman that you've never heard of, putting those guys in your bicycle spokes.
Yeah,
that was the fate of most of the rest of them.
I had a cool Pete Rose when he was a manager, and I bet that's probably worth something. Maybe, I don't know. I was always a fan of like those horror trading cards and Garbage Pail Kids and stuff like that more than the baseball. But I still, for some reason, I had to have them. Like I remember I had a cool Nolan Ryan. That was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I thought Nolan Ryan was cool, and hopefully he would think we were cool too. So if he does, he can reach out to us at waybackattackshow@gmail.com, or he can speak directly to me on Twitter at BEGrantham. Preston, where can people find you?
Yo, I am at Squared Stiff on Twitter, and you can find us at Wayback_Attack on Twitter as well, or Wayback Attack at Facebook, and waybackattackshow@gmail.com. One thing we do want to mention, wanted to mention at the top of the show, but totally just forgot. So we're happy to be back, but we're going to do a little bit of a reduced pace. And so we're going to be joining you every 2 weeks for the time being with a fresh podcast. Try to give you a little bit more quality over quantity. I hope you find favor with that. And if you think of any great topics you'd like us to cover in the meantime, please let us know. We always love to talk about things that are relevant now, that are nostalgic to us as well. But we'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Preston.
And I am Brian. And we are Way Back Attack. Come on, punch this way. No, the other way. The other way. No, punch my fist. There we go. Punch. Now punch. Punch. Boom! There we go. We did it. So, hey, if you're only listening right now, you should check out the YouTube video because you're not going to want to miss that little gem.
That was so awful.
So, well, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.